Wayne Werewolf, singer of the band Eyeball, and VHS enthusiast. I hail from the garbage dump of the United States, Lewiston, Maine. Home sweet home, right? Movies, for as long as I can remember, has been the gasoline to my Dodge Charger. Most of my earliest memories, even as a kid, involve monsters, aliens, vampires, and rad shit like that. Movies have just always been totally ingrained in the person I am. I was born in 1982. Being a child of the 80s, VHS was just the way you got movies, and if you wanted to have an awesome movie collection, which I obviously did, you bought VHS. I didn't buy them or even think of them as collectibles. I just thought of them as movies, and this is the way I get to watch them at home. I love collecting VHS for two reasons predominantly. Number one, they look cool as fuck. Just the whole package. From the fonts, to the cover graphics, to the taglines, even to the tape itself. I don't know, maybe I'm just still obsessed with physical media, but there's just something so cool about the way they look. All those images of violence and creatures just permanently scarred in my brain in the best way possible. As an artist myself, I still am infatuated with the time in cinema history when they still employed actual artists and illustrators to craft, movie posters and VHS boxes. And I really miss that. DVDs, they all look the same. They just look photoshopped and sterile. I never understood why you'd rather have that over all these really eye-catching paintings. The other thing I loved about VHS tapes is that years and years ago, I used to work at a movie theater as a projectionist, and that really developed a love with working with film. I mean, as a kid who was obsessed with movies, what better job could there be than being a film projectionist and actually being the person in charge of projecting movies for people to watch? It was the greatest. And I just loved everything about working with film. Threading projectors, putting the movies together, because they come on reels and you have to splice it so the film plays continuously and it would move from like a platter system. It was so much fun, and I think VHS tapes really kind of rekindle that love I had of working with film, because it's the closest thing I have to that. That does give me some good memories of that time. One of the big things that actually got me into enthusiastically collecting VHS tapes was media home entertainment. I think the first time I had 6 or 7 of them, and I realized that they all had that white label across the bottom, and that just spoke to me visually, and I couldn't believe how cool they looked together on a shelf, being uniform like that, and that shot media right up the ladder to the #1 spot. They're absolutely my favorite VHS releasing company, and they just look so cool together on a shelf. Now the bulk of my collection is just media white label stuff. I'd say probably 75% of it is all that, and man, and they just put out the coolest stuff. I mean, maybe tied with Vestron. I don't know how controversial that is to say, but currently my collection sits at just under 200 tapes, and while that pales in comparison to a lot of you beautiful people, I'm right as rain with that. Everything in my collection, while modest in size, they're all titles I love. I don't have any filler material. I don't collect VHS tapes just for the sake of owning everything. I only own ones that I really, really love and were sought after. Now, years ago, I had a lot more. Maybe 600 to 700, but through various series of unfortunate events, I lost a lot of it. So the last year or so has been me kind of tracking down a lot of the titles I love the most and rebuilding that collection. So of the 200 tapes I own, I've narrowed down to 4 that I would consider to be the most essential to me as a person. These are absolutely my prized possessions. First one is this tape right here. I worship at the altar of Glenn Danzig, and I've been obsessed with his solo music, Sam Hain, the Misfits, longer than I've probably liked music as a whole. And this tape has everything a Danzig fan could want. From his drummer Chuck Biscuits talking about breakfast cereal, to Eerie Von talking about how he doesn't like to practice, to reading Wolverine and Mr. Monster comics, talking about violence, to Glenn just trying to look cool as fuck through the whole thing. It's got everything. It's so fucking rad. Definitely this tape helped cement my fandom. Love you, Glenn. The next two I have to do as a pair, but you know, we'll still consider them number 2 and 3. Magnetic Mixtape Volumes 1 and 2, put out by a little independent company called Briarwood Entertainment, in conjunction with Lunch Meat. Maybe some of you guys have heard of them. These tapes are very near and dear to me because I got to collaborate with my best friend and brother, Mr. R.J. Wilson, who I think we all know. I got to do the music on Volume 1, and then on Volume 2 I got to do the music and act. I use that term as loosely as possible, but it was a lot of fun to make, and it was about a man questioning his sanity and trying to decide if he's going completely batshit insane or if he's being tormented by Bigfoot, which is, you know, I think a point we've all come to in our life. Am I right? My number one most prized tape I own in my collection is this. Eyeball from the Sewer to the Stage. The VHS compilation of various music videos, concert footage, overall ridiculousness from my band. My band is like the greatest art project I've ever been a part of, and to now be immortalized on VHS with 3 of the coolest dudes I've had the pleasure working with is really, really awesome. Let me tell you, this tape is just bizarre. It's funny, it's weird, it's gross, everything that Eyeball stands for. So if you're one of the 15 people out there fortunate enough to have one of these, you know what you're in for. And also, how can you not love this Madball artwork? So fucking sick. This thing's the shit. 2 other tapes I'm just absolutely fucking stoked on. These 2 right here about the Ultimate Warrior. Ultimate Warrior, hands down, is the most powerful force in the universe. In my opinion, bigger than Hulkamania. Fuck you. The very first episode of WWF Superstars I ever saw, which was also my introduction to wrestling, was a match just before this guy came barreling down the runway like a fucking comet with what at the time I thought was like the heaviest music I'd ever heard. It was like Conan the Barbarian with face paint on an acid trip, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever, and I've been obsessed ever since. You know, I think that's a common theme for me, is I can't just like anything. I either hate it or I'm completely infatuated with it. Ultimate Warrior is proof of that. Some of my rarest tapes I think are pretty good. I don't have some of like the really big ones though, like Jack-o'-lantern or Shock Chamber or whatever the fuck people consider rare, but I honestly don't give a shit. Again, I'm happy with what I got. Nonetheless, without further ado, here are a few I think are pretty rare. You got the Mutilator, easily one of the coolest fucking covers ever, in that tagline. Holy shit, so fucking good. You got Tourist Trap, White Label Media. This movie's fucking bonkers. Mannequins, Telepathy, and how iconic is that cover right there? So good. A completely wacky film that on paper should not be as good as it is, but it's pretty great. Fatal Games, that's a statement right there. This is another really good one, and for some reason it's really rare. I don't see it show up on the Bay very often. I have it, and happy to own it, and yeah. And then original Prism release Shockwaves. Neat. So really, every tape I have at one point or another was a Grail tape that I wanted to find and have now secured. Grails is a funny thing for me. But if I had to pick one thing, it's definitely WWF tape from Coliseum Video for Demolition. I've won a copy of that for the longest time, preferably in good shape too, because I mean, what fun is owning your Grail tape if it looks like shit? I technically own just the tape, but I would love to get a copy with the slipcover. They were my favorite tag team of all time, and I just always thought Axe and Smash were the coolest, and would love to have that in my collection. The other one would be the white label media copy of Assault on Precinct 13. Now that one, you know, it's not the rarest tape you can find, but I just haven't found a copy of it that I thought looked really good. One thing about that, though, that maybe someone can clear up for me, I think it was released twice. I know there was the media copy, but surprisingly, I don't really care about those. I don't collect them. If I had some, I'd probably be happy, but I really just collect the white label media tapes. And I think that was released twice. Once with the image of like the silhouette of the man standing above like the city skyline. It's got like it's like mostly a black tape. And then there was the red slip with the original movie poster artwork on it. And I think that one may have been released overseas, which is another thing I don't really collect. I don't get too into foreign release VHS tapes. If that was released in America and someone could clear that up for me and maybe help me secure both copies, I would love to own them. I'd be so stoked. So if you have them, holla at your boy. Well, I'd love to tell you what my favorite part of this community is. I guess I'm kind of a creeper. Fuck. I really just scroll and like people's pictures on Instagram. But I haven't interacted with a lot of people, so I'm here, man. I'm looking to meet up with some of you crazy motherfuckers. So let's do some trades. I don't really have a lot of trade bait, but you know, even if you guys just want to talk shop, that's cool with me. So the coolest thing I found in the wild, hands down, is this copy of Just Before Dawn. Not only do I love this movie, but I knew how rare it was anyways, and I think maybe the time I found this I owned a cut box of it. But this, a guy came in to sell his VHS tapes. He had like 6 of them, and it was like 5 or so no-name horror titles. I can't even remember what was in it, but this is like the last one. I paid him for it and immediately turned around and bought this and was like fever sweating while waiting to purchase this because I was just so stoked that I had this in hand. And yeah, still have it today. Really excited about it. So right now my collection is all over the place. I'm just a madman obsessed with movies, and I can't pick just one genre to collect. Like a lot of you sickos, I love horror movies, but most of my collection is actually wrestling tapes. I'm obsessed with that goofy ass fake sport. Man, do I love it. But I also love science fiction, sword and sandal, post-apocalyptic stuff. Hell, you name it, I probably like it. 80s comedies I love. If your movie has gratuitous nudity in it, I probably want to see it, and I probably want to own it. My most recent pickups, I think, were some pretty good ones. I've been trying to find a clean copy, and I think, to segue in the middle of that, the hardest thing with VHS collecting for me is I like to find, like, fairly mint clean copies, and, like, that is a real bastard trying to do. One movie that I just never seem to find a copy that I think is good enough is 9 Deaths of the Ninja, and this movie fucking rules. And this is the cleanest copy I've seen in a long time. Really happy to have now added that to the collection. I also got recently Piranha 2: The Spawning. Now, this time, they fly. Also recently picked up Rollerblade, another fucking bonkers movie that is insane in all the best ways possible. Very happy to have this one. And last but not least, Rainbow MCA copy of The Island. Pirates are pretty badass, and this time we're gonna make him scary. This ain't Captain Phillips, one of Michael Caine's finest hours. first tape I ever owned, and no, I unfortunately do not still own it, was Weird Al Yankovic, Bad Hair Day, the video. And you know what, God damn it, I need to find that again, because I still think Weird Al Yankovic's the fucking shit. But I wore that tape out. I watched it all the time, and there was only like maybe 4 music videos, but I just remember the first time I saw Weird Al, I thought he was the funniest thing. All these years later, not much has changed. He still cracks me up. So, thank you, Weird Al, for all the laughs. That was definitely the first tape I ever owned. Yeah, God damn it, I'm gonna find that. So yeah, I'm Wayne Werewolf. This is my VHS collection, and stay gross.